Brett Favre, as we know, is a Donald Trump ally, a close one at that. He has participated in multiple events with the president. He has gone golfing with the president. He has, as an NFL Hall of Famer, given his take on political events, but rails against politics and sports. He thought Derek Chauvin did not mean to kill George Floyd. I mean, the list goes on and on with a common theme. But it's what's gone down in Mississippi that has made matters worse for the local hero. If unaware, Favre was allegedly involved in a scheme that stole millions in welfare money that was redirected to him, with the state writing it off as appearance fees, promotions, autographs, speaking engagements, none of which he ever did. Nancy New and her son Zach pled guilty to bribery and fraud, and let me tell you, they are howling with information. They ran a nonprofit, the MCEC, that received taxpayer funding, but they used it to enrich themselves along with many others, but also, get this, a brand new volleyball court. But which one, Rick? Glad you asked. That would be on the campus of the University of Southern Mississippi. And why, oh why, would they pick this school in particular? Bing! Bing! Bing, 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 bing. Did I do the sound effect? Bing! Brett Favre's daughter just so happened to be on that team at the time. What makes matters even weirder is the payment was made in full by hand in cash.
These politicians serve 2 years, some serve more. Regardless of how long you serve, you get paid a huge amount of money.
That's not suspicious. Not in the slightest. It should be noted, Favre started a company called Prevacus. We've covered it previously. Basically, it claimed that it was to treat concussions in professional athletes, per the fine work of journalist Anna Wolf. The venture, with Bryant, as in former Governor Bryant's involvement, well, that company received $2 million in welfare funds.
He worked on cars.
And that's where the former governor of the state, Phil Bryant, comes in. Bryant basically helped out Brett Favre, according to the journalists on the ground. He made political connections. He even allegedly accepted stock in Prevacus. The News, who again pled guilty and are talking, said the Accord docs that Governor Bryant directed her to pay the $1.1 million to Favre. That is a humongous allegation. But here's the biggest wrinkle of them all to date. Maybe those who are doing the digging got just a little too close. J. Brad Pigott, a former U.S. attorney, was with the Mississippi Department of Human Services, the agency that distributes Mississippi's federal welfare block grants. A state audit in 2020 found that as much as $94 million in federal funds may have been misspent in Mississippi. Oh, and you know what happened to J. Brad Pigott? Let me tell you. The state welfare department fired him. He was contracted to claw back millions in misspent federal funds from dozens of people in Mississippi's sprawling welfare scandal. Just last week, Pigott had scheduled depositions with key players in the scheme, including former NFL quarterback Brett Favre. Pigott said the Mississippi Department of Human Services and the Attorney General's office were aware of his intent to subpoena the Athletic Foundation days before he filed. Quote, "I am sure they can find a loyal Republican lawyer to do the work," he said, a former Bill Clinton appointee. His subpoena asked the foundation to produce any communications its members may have had with Favre, Bryant, and Bryant's wife, Deborah, among others. The New York Times' efforts to reach representatives of the Athletic Foundation were unsuccessful. Robert G. Anderson, executive director of the Mississippi Department of Human Services, said on Saturday that Pigott had been relieved of his duties because he filed the subpoena without consulting with the agency first. Okay. However, Mississippi Today obtained an email showing that Pigott sent a draft copy to the agency's lawyer and the state attorney general's office 10 days before he filed it. I believe I was fired as a result of a pattern of orders from the Mississippi governor's office concerning protecting an entity called the University of Southern Mississippi Athletic Foundation from any responsibility in this matter, is what Pigott said, taking direct aim at Tate Reeves. Pigott says his abrupt termination was politically motivated. that staffers in Reeves's office had long wanted him to keep USM Athletic Foundation out of his civil lawsuit. Reeves has not denied this assertion, and a statement from his appointed welfare director, which suggested that the subpoena prompted him to remove Piggott from the case, appears to confirm Piggott's suspicion. Mississippi Today makes this case, which is very, very important. Reeves's electoral performance in southern Mississippi, where USM alumni are most concentrated, quite likely won him the governor's mansion in 2019. Reeves picked up 23% of his total statewide vote share in Hattiesburg and South. A key to that Pine Belt and Gulf Coast success was his full support from local elected officials, many of whom just so happen to be USM alums. Importantly for Reeves, one of the most successful political fundraisers in Mississippi history. USM's support comes with plenty of political cashish. Mississippi Today reviewed the governor's campaign contributions and found sizable donations from at least 11 USM Athletic Foundation board members. That's big. And several people on the foundation's board are either direct beneficiaries or known investigation targets of the welfare scheme. Under Reeves and past governorships, there is certainly a theme: rejecting needy families at unimaginable high rates for assistance through the welfare program. Think Progress found almost 12,000 low-income residents applied for help just so they could make ends meet. You know how many were approved? 167. That's it. As for the news, Reeves has long been in their orbit, recording an education commercial for his gubernatorial campaign in mid-2019 at the special needs school the News owned in Jackson, Mississippi, where at that time they were running a separate federal fraud scheme to which they have since pled guilty. Which is important, by the way, because Tate Reeves could say, yeah, I don't know them. I've never... No, you know them. At the end of 2019 and early 2020, when the News sensed they would soon face criminal charges, the Reeves administration was poised to take office. Maybe they're running. Maybe not. Several times, according to texts obtained by Mississippi Today, they turned to Reeves's incoming chief of staff, among other powerful political sources, for help. Reeves's former chief of staff told Mississippi Today the incoming administration steered clear of assisting the News. Just recently, Governor Bryant was subpoenaed by Nancy News attorney Gary Bufkin. He would tell Mississippi Today, "We're going to find the truth, even if we have to drag it kicking and screaming into the light." In all, Favre was the inspiration behind at least 3 major expenditures in the scandal: the volleyball facility, $2.1 million in payments to a pharmaceutical startup, Prevacus, and a $1.1 contract directly with Favre to promote services for needy families, all of which now have some alleged proximity to former Governor Phil Bryant.